Welcome to this week's episode of Campbell and Jones Meet the Monsters, the podcast we chart the cinematic legacy of the classic monsters. I'm John Campbell. With me, as always, Brendan Jones.
John Campbell. You know, when I was watching this movie, it occurred to me.
Yes.
It occurred to me that one of the great weaknesses of the cinematic vampires, actually just vampires in general, and I don't know if this is in the folklore, vampires in general they're a loose lot of, supernatural beings, and half the time, I'd say even more than half the time, you don't know to whom they belong.
Sure.
This movie finally has trademarked, we know when we're watching this movie exactly whose vampires these are.
We've seen other vampires, all right?
Oh, yeah.
Nameless, unowned vampires, aside from Bram Stoker's Dracula. We know that's not vampires in general. That's just Dracula.
And literally the movie begins with Bram Stoker talking to Francis Ford Coppola going, you can borrow him.
Yeah.
But I get him back at the end. And they're like, oh, sure, absolutely.
And they better not have a scratched on him, Francis. But no,
the bottom of his foot, it actually says, TM Bram Stoker.
But there is no doubt that these vampires we're talking about this week belong to Mr. John Carpenter.
They belong to him. I hope he has kept them well fed
vampires
and taken care of. Mm-hmm.
That's right, man. As the poster declares, from the master of terror comes a new breed of evil.
Now, had you seen this one before?
I'd seen this movie several times before.
Oh, interesting.
This was maybe my fifth or sixth viewing of this movie. And
I'd seen it once.
This is also one that was already in my collection. I had the Shout Factory collector's Blu-ray of this, just in general.
I want to make it clear before we continue, I am a huge fan of John Carpenter's.
Massive. John Carpenter is one of maybe my top 5 filmmakers. He is one of the most influential filmmakers on my work. So much of the stuff I write and create has been inspired by John Carpenter.
Yeah, and I will say when he is on, or when the project is right and he's feeling it, unmatched. The guy's unbelievable.
I mean, the Master of Terror is right. I really if you want to get into the best horror directors, he's in that conversation.
Oh, he definitely.
I mean, there's no question he's up there with Raimi or Craven, or even going back to Hitchcock, man.
Oh, of course. He is a master. I will say that I wanted to state that because I don't think this is a shit movie. And compared to last week, it's, of course...
I mean, that's the thing. This movie has done a lot of it. This is a huge step up just in...
Jesus Christ.
Just in basic competence of storytelling and filmmaking. My God, this is a movie. This is the first movie we've watched in a while.
It's very true.
You know what's interesting, though? Since we talked about last week's movie, originally attached to the script was Russell Mulcahy.
Really?
He was going to direct it with Dolph Lundgren as Jack Quinn.
Oh, no.
You see what that movie would be, and that movie would be much worse than this movie.
Oh, absolutely. This is a movie, and I see its faults, and if I start coming down on it too hard, I want everyone to be totally clear that I love John Carpenter.
And if you start coming down on it too hard, I will be here to defend this movie because I really like this movie. But the thing we do agree on, I also do see its faults, though. I don't think this is a great movie, but as I said, this is probably the 5th or 6th time I've seen it. I really like this movie. I think this movie is very fun. I watch this movie somewhat regularly as the B-movie drive-in grindhouse experience.
Oh, yeah, no, I know that even in my ideal version of this, it would not be any kind of work of art. No, this is meant to be a B-movie grindhouse flick.
I feel very similar to this movie as I do about From Dusk Till Dawn, which is also a movie I really enjoy.
I think it does suffer by comparison with that, simply because From Dusk Till Dawn does have that young guy energy. It pops.
No question. I think that's a better movie, but I think they're in the same realm of these are just nasty little genre exercises.
What I wish this had been was a little bit, and we'll get into specifics, but I wish this was a little bit more real world-ish a la Near Dark, because it's trying to do it's southwestern, is where we're located for most of this film.
Yeah, it's New Mexico.
And other than the fact that it is a group of professional vampire hunters who work for the Vatican,
which
which is comic book, and I love it.
And I will say that, and that's because this is based on a novel. I'll talk. I did read the novel back in the day.
Oh, you did?
I
read his other novel. I read Armor, which also features Jack Crow.
Yeah, but I did read the novel, so I'll talk about it. But I will say that is one of the few things that is like the same between the two. Is that concept is definitely what they sold on, and that concept rules, man. That's such a
concept rules,
cool.
And actually, the opening scene of this movie has me. I'm sitting there going, "This is what I want," and it loses that, unfortunately, at a certain point.
The whole concept of, and I wish they had kept the title of the novel, which is Vampires with a $sign.
Yeah, because these are mercenaries. They're not
idea,
holy men. There's a holy man in their group.
They are
but
mercenary vampire hunters for the Catholic Church.
I know. It's a great concept.
That concept, I totally see why somebody read this book and went, that's a movie, and then kind of threw out. The book doesn't really have a plot, I would say, is one of the big. It's really just sort of. I mean, I'll just run through this. The book is the exact beginning of this movie. Jack Crow and his team take out a vampire nest. His team gets slaughtered, and then it's about him putting together another team, and they go about more vampire killing. But there's
not a big bad?
Not really, no. There's not sort of a central... There really isn't much drive to it. It really is the work-a-day thing. It really wouldn't
Which is actually what, that was Dan Aykroyd's original take on Ghostbusters.
It's a little bit nastier Ghostbusters in that sense.
They're exterminators. That's the whole thing. So they're blue-collar guys, and this is their job.
This definitely gloms, kind of like what the Ghostbusters movie ended up being, actually. This gloms onto, no, there needs to be, a threat to the world and a villain that has to be stopped. And I will talk about that villain because he's my MVP of the movie. I love Thomas Ian Griffith. I think he's awesome.
I've seen reviews that slam they're going, well, they spent all their money on one big star and a couple of B stars, and that left them without it. And I'm sitting there going, wait a minute.
He's the best thing in the movie. Man.
I don't know if he's the best thing in the movie, but he's very good at this. And I'm sitting there going, I wish he weren't, cartoonishly made to look like stock vampire guy.
Sure.
He is intense, and he's quite good. And I'm like,
he's very good. I'm a huge fan of his in general. I love Thomas Ian Griffith. I think he's fantastic.
I think you mean Terry Silver.
I do mean Terry Silver. I mean, that was very much already when this movie came out. I was like, oh my God, it's Terry Silver, because I was always a huge fan of the Karate Kid films.
And unlike From Dusk Till Dawn, by the way, I think the makeup across the board in this movie is awesome. And
which is interesting because it's the exact same makeup team.
But they're doing a consistent worldview here.
And it's the exact same makeup team as last week's shitty movie. It's the K&B boys, which I still stand by. Those guys are great, and I think what we're reacting to is how much time and money are they given, right? I think that's really what it is. Because I agree. I think the makeup in this movie across the board,
kills, great,
fucking
weird,
fantastic.
Head beheadings, through the mouth beheadings where half the head comes.
And come on, the kill of the movie is Mark Boone Jr. getting split in half, right?
It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I love. I did watch all the interviews on the Shout Factory Blu-ray after I watched this movie yesterday, and James Woods talked about that. He goes, "Hey, why do you got this dummy of Mark Boone Jr.?" They go, "Check this out," and they push the button and it split. And he was like, "Oh God, whoa, that's disturbing." They talk about it. They're like, "That's the most realistic dummy I've ever seen," and it could just do that. And then
it is a great job.
And I think that's I like I said, I see the criticisms, but the stuff that works really works for me, and I find this movie very fun. And I think another key to it, honestly, for me, is James Woods is such a weird choice that I kind of love. I kind of love it, though.
That's where we separate again.
See, that's the thing.
I love James Woods. I mean,
as an actor,
I love James.
Of course,
James Woods
is a massive piece of shit,
and he can be an incredibly intense guy, and he's intense here. I believe him as cops. I believe him as all kinds of
Did
things.
you like him in the movie Cop?
Sure.
I actually do like that movie. That title is horrible.
Of course. It's like calling a movie Plane or something.
Well, Plane is great. But I will say Cop in particular
Ambulance.
Ambulance is also great. And Cop is good too. But the thing that annoys me about, I'm a big fan of the books those are based on, the James Ellroy novels, the Lloyd Hopkins series. And that book is called Blood on the Moon, which is a way fucking better title than Cop.
Which, by the way, I have a first edition paperback of, and those go for several $100s, and I'm thinking about putting on eBay.
Sure, that's great, yeah.
Because I need the money. But yes,
folks,
it is
check out
true.
Brendan's eBay where you can buy. Yeah, I do love. I'm a huge Ellroy fan, so of course
I love Ellroy.
I'm
not much of a crime reader guy.
Yeah, that's my shit, man. I've got a signed copy of his book Perfidia.
Very nice.
Yeah.
I really liked.
If you want,
I'm not getting.
If you want a big old tome about Japanese internment in 1940s LA, read Perfidia, folks.
Yes, that's a real big swing. Did you get that from Powell's, by the way?
I did,
because he did a signing there.
Yes.
That's why you got your signed copy.
That is correct.
But anywho,
this movie. Oh no! Here's the thing.
This would have been so much better.
Yeah.
If you didn't change a single thing, even though I still think it, editing wise and pacing, there's some problems. But this would have been so much better. And yes, it's a cliche. But if he had gone to his old friend Kurt,
he did.
Oh, he did?
Kurt was unavailable. His first choice for Jack Crow was Kurt Russell.
The thing is, it does need someone that reads as that kind of blue-collar badass. And James Woods in this movie is doing... he's not cashing the check. He's there.
I recognize it would...
But he literally stands there in the like wide stance pose all the time. He looks like a guy pretending to be an action hero. He's not. Sorry, James.
The thing about it is, I recognize, and I love Kurt Russell because obviously I'm just one of the biggest Kurt Russell fans out there, and I recognize the movie would be better, but there's something about the weirdness of James Woods in this that I've always loved, and the thing I like about it is Kurt Russell would have been more of a hero, and I kind of like that Jack Crow is like a piece of shit. There's something I kind of enjoy about...
But that Kurt Russell could have done that,
Kurt Russell could have done, but Kurt Russell would have been cooler. James Woods is like... I kind of hate this. The thing, though, I will say, the big problem here is Daniel Baldwin. The huge, huge problem in this movie is Baldwin.
Well, I think he's doing good for Daniel Baldwin. In other words, I think he's not... bad acting in this movie.
No, I don't.
He's just irreplaceably Daniel Baldwin. He's just you can't look past his Daniel Baldwin.
Do you know who Carpenter's first choice for this part was?
Was it someone who you'd believe is named Montoya?
No, but it's a better actor. He really pushed for Bruce Campbell in this part.
Oh well, then I would have overlooked that.
Yeah, he really wanted Bruce Campbell, and the studio was like, not a big enough name, which is insane to think about Daniel Bald. Well, actually, what happened... so this is... I got all the background on this movie, so don't worry, folks.
They were worried.
He wanted Bruce Campbell. They wanted Alec Baldwin. They talked to Alec Baldwin, who was unavailable, and then settled for Daniel.
But Alec Baldwin wouldn't have been a good Montoya. The whole character, not that there's a lot of character there, but they keep coming back to, he even says, Vaya con Dios at the end. Yeah. He is supposed to be a Hispanic man.
Yeah. No, of course.
And, Bruce Campbell maybe could have played it off as that's an eccentric choice, that maybe he's not actually Hispanic,
Bruce Campbell just would have been better.
He's a quarter Latin American, and the thing is that he plays it up, and they could have actually made that a character.
Bruce Campbell might have also gotten on a treadmill for a little bit of this. And look, I'm not.
And actually, Daniel Baldwin's at his. This is kind of fittest Daniel Baldwin.
I love Carpenter because there's an interview with Carpenter on the Blu-ray, which is great. And his statement about Daniel Baldwin is great because he goes, Daniel Baldwin, Yeah, he did okay work for me. He managed to stay sober the whole time. I'm going, boy, your bar is so fucking low, Carpenter. Because he just goes, I knew that guy was trouble. And basically, as long as he didn't get boozed up, I was happy with him. Was kind of Carpenter's attitude there.
But he is a low point because he adjusts nothing about Daniel Baldwin to be this character.
That really hurts what's supposed to be so central, which is relationship with Cheryl Lee. And I think that's where Campbell would have been a lot better.
Yes, but also the writing there didn't help. This is one of, and I do, okay. I agree with you. I like it being a down and dirty, as it should be, grindhouse kind of movie. However, the treatment of the only female character is so horrific from everybody. Jack Crow's an asshole because, this is just my job. He calls her a whore and a bitch all the way through it.
Oh, yeah.
And Baldwin is calling her whore and bitch and smacking her around until at some point the script decides he cares for her. And you're like, when did that?
No, I agree. That's a huge problem in the script for sure.
And I'm sitting there also looking at this going, Cheryl Lee, and I have always liked her because she acts her fucking ass off in everything, and she's never had a big career. Outside of Twin Peaks, she just hasn't.
She's very talented. I don't know why.
And she's done a lot of indie stuff.
I've always
But why
really
would
liked
she
her.
take this role? Is it just because it's John Carpenter?
Carpenter really pursued her because he had loved her on Twin Peaks, obviously. And so he was
But there
really
is nothing for her to do here.
There really isn't.
So
it's
thankless.
Yeah.
Thankless.
It's a bummer.
Everyone calling her a whore and a bitch. I was like sitting there cringing. I was like, God damn this movie.
Yeah, that's sort of the thing I was saying about this
Worse
movie.
Than Tarantino.
This is Tarantino isn't just doing Tarantino is
writing
about
there are character
dirtbag,
reasons,
psycho criminals. These guys are ostensibly, although Carpenter once again on the Blu-ray goes, I don't ever write traditional heroes. My heroes are anti-heroes.
And that's very true here. You're not necessarily supposed to like them. It's just they do an important job.
Yeah.
So that's the whole thing. They are not heroic.
I like the idea of the Catholic Church in the service of objective good is hiring complete scumbags.
Yes,
I do like that's something I like about I don't like the treatment of Cheryl.
That is a great idea. Again, the concepts of this movie are great.
I like that these guys are nasty. I don't know that they need to go as far as they do. And by the way, Carpenter not credited with a screenplay, but Carpenter wrote this movie. So actually, Carpenter credits, and I think some of the bitch and horror stuff is probably where you get a lot of improv from Mr. Woods. A lot of his part was improvised. All the did it give you wood, Father? That's all James Woods, apparently.
God.
They
really? Because that's what ends our movie, and that made me sad.
One in Woods in the interview goes, I couldn't believe John put all that stuff in there.
Oh, wow.
Well, because apparently they talked about James Woods, famously difficult to work with, but they got along just great because he made a deal that if he did a take where he said it exactly as written, then he could do the takes where he made up whatever he wanted. And apparently James Woods was a good boy if you'd let him do some improv stuff. And then Carpenter actually used a lot of the improv, which I think further adds to this character just being James Woods with a crossbow.
Yep.
But James Woods really pursued this part for exactly what we're talking about, which he goes, I'd never done an action hero part, and I'd always wanted to be an action hero. And, Carpenter comes in and goes, well, he really... Because the studio, like I said, went to Kurt Russell, who was unavailable. I don't know whatever other movie he was doing. Might have been Breakdown, maybe, which is really good. I love Breakdown.
Oh, yeah, Breakdown's great.
Breakdown's really good. The studio then pursued the following people. Clint Eastwood, of course, was choice number one for them, who I don't think could have said no to this faster. I can't imagine him being interested in the script, but
I can't imagine him being interested in the script, but I think it would have been would have been stunt casting that I would have been all on board.
I think he would have been good in it. I just can't imagine
gravitas.
Him wanting to do it. Well, how about this gravitas? They next go to Tommy Lee Jones.
Well,
you fucking vampires, man, come on out. I'm gonna bring you into the sunlight. Awesome. Danny Glover also passed. Ooh. Bill Paxton, talking about Near Dark, he passed. And the funniest to me, Al Pacino. Come on, you fucking vampires. Now that I think would have been fun, though. I think that would have been I don't think it would have been good, but I think it would have been. Same costume, little Pacino in the
Oh my
black
God.
leather jacket and the jeans with the crossbow. Come on, you motherfucking vampires.
Oh my God.
But all of those people said no.
All right. Well, let's kick off the movie.
Let's talk about the poster.
We've now
first.
talked an hour and a half without actually launching into
We got to talk about the poster first, though.
We do.
Which I do like. I do like the tagline, and I don't mind this poster. It's not like it's not an incredibly creative poster.
No, it's Vampire in the Clouds.
Mm-hmm. Classic.
Big vampire face
They
in the clouds.
These movies love a big vampire face in the clouds.
Yeah, and it is, but it's not nighttime. It's sort of sunset, so the sky is blazing red.
I love Carpenter talking on the Blu-ray about, he goes, see, I didn't see it as a horror movie. I saw it as a Western. I'm going, John, you've seen every movie as a Western. That's like John Carpenter loves Westerns so much, and I feel like his take is, what if this was a Western?
Yeah. I want to, there's a shape-changing alien, but I see it more as a Western in the snow.
It is how he always sees it, man. It always goes back to Ford and Hawks with this guy.
Well, you can tell, and I will say, there's a real hard continuity, and I get it. Whenever it's supposed to be sun down or sun up, where shot to shot, you're like, no, these are different times of day. I'm sorry, they're trying. But when they do sweeping vistas, which Carpenter at any point in this movie is like going, can I just do a sweeping desert vista? They look gorgeous, man. It's shot really well.
I think the whole movie is shot. I mean, Carpenter knows how to shoot a movie. I mean, there's no question that there's so much more creativity in how this is shot than most of the shit we watch on here.
Yeah.
It is like, oh, right, here's even a director, and he's not working with a ton of money on this. He never had a ton of money.
No, that's true.
And that was always, and he also never made a Western, never made a proper Western, which does make me sad.
That'd be great. He finally does like Billy the Kid, and he's like going, I see this as like a Busby Berkeley music.
No, I mean, he has a famous script, Hell Diablo, which has been around forever and ever, and he's tried to make it for decades. It's never happened, and it's always been a bummer to me that never. Anyway, yes. So then you've got our vampire slayers all standing here in front of the sunset with their weapons out. And I like this movie for all the fucking monster killing weapons.
I was going to get to that in a bit. But
I mean, this movie is aimed right at me. It makes sense. I like this movie.
This could have been a pretty kick-ass design, but what they've done is, because clearly Photoshop is doing the heavy lifting.
The Photoshop on this, yeah.
The Vampire in the Clouds looks good because it's all made of a piece.
Yeah,
but then you get down to our hunters, which is the big gang, and they've got all their cool weapons. Mm-hmm. But that's clearly shot somewhere else, and they're trying to composite it. But in compositing it, they decided to do a stroke line around them, a halo.
Yeah. And
that golden halo around them takes them out of that location. It doesn't look real.
And it looks like click paste ad effect on Photoshop.
Does. That's exactly what
it looks very lazy.
And you see their cool, tactical vehicle there too. And then prepare for the dawn. That's the catchphrase.
That's pretty good. I like that.
Yeah.
I mean, you better believe Kid Me saw this in a theater lobby and went, awesome.
I pretty much with every movie we've been doing here in the 90s.
Oh my God. Yeah.
And factoring in you were a kid when you saw most of these.
Yeah. I mean, nobody was taking me to see this, obviously, but this was definitely boy, let's go back in time to where I feel like an old man, but which is I had this taped off of HBO and I watched it as a kid, and I loved it, man. Oh my God! Saturday nights at 8, I watched whatever their movie premiere. I saw so many movies because it was Saturday night at 8. There was a new movie on HBO, and it was always a big deal. Gather around. Yeah. Well, not gather around. Nobody was watching this with me. My dad might have watched this, but my dad also was, because my dad would be like, "Yeah, John Carpenter, Escape from New York. Oh, vampires." My dad's an action guy. And I think the monster stuff, he's a little bit like, meh. So like I said, it is like, because this is coming off of Escape from L.A., which once again, keep in mind, I have an affinity for that some other people don't. I think my age is part of that. Is I saw New York and L.A. like almost back to back. So to me, it's almost one experience.
Yeah,
so I think,
all the Pliskin you can eat.
But that's the thing where it's like my dad and I would have been like, Snake Plissken, baby. But honestly, this is kind of trying to be Snake Plissken fighting vampires, isn't it?
It is, which is why you watch this and kind of just there's a Kurt Russell shaped hole. And I'm not saying Kurt Russell is the only person that could have done this better.
Because I agree. I would have loved to have seen.
You're talking about Carpenter, and you're talking about the kind of hero,
and especially when I hear he really wanted Kurt in this, and it totally feels like that. It does feel like that, and if this had been Kurt Russell and Bruce Campbell, the exact same movie, it's a full letter grade better, just in general, just with those guys. Kurt Russell, who's also in Escape from LA, by the way. Or sorry, Bruce Campbell, of course.
I was about to say, yeah, you are.
Bruce Campbell is also in Escape from LA, and he's very fun in that. He was Carpenter, surprise, surprise, big Evil Dead fan. Really enjoys those movies. So anyway,
totally shocked.
Yeah, let's leap into this movie, which I gotta say right off the bat, I do love this John Carpenter score. It very much fits the tone. It's very twanging Western guitar.
Well, I always have to temper your,
don't drag me. I thought we'd at least agree on.
No. The score is good. The score is good and very badass and very fitting. The only problem is he only came up with a theme, and
that's kind of all of the movies, though. For him.
But this is very repetitive.
You go back to Assault on Precinct 13. He's playing that thing the whole time, and I love that score.
And it works in Halloween. It doesn't work here. It is just kind of a. It's a very good thing. I wish he had come up with some variations because it just seems to be on a loop.
Man, I do love the score to this, and I listen to it. I have I frequently am listening to the best of John Carpenter scores as I'm driving around.
I would get that shit.
Oh, it's awesome. But yeah, this is on there. So yeah, we open up on Jack Crow, which I mean, that is the name from the book, and of course, that's a great badass action hero name. Jack Crow, and he hunts vampires. And here, so we meet James Woods. James Woods, I do see what you're latching onto. It is very, your dad has decided to dress like a badass.
That is exactly what it is.
It really is like
it's very posy.
Yeah.
When someone that is made for this genre, if Bruce Campbell or Bruce Willis or Kurt Russell, if
Willis would have been good in this too.
Yeah, sure. But when they stand there, if they're just holding a weapon or they're doing reconnaissance,
they're not trying to be badass.
No, there's a natural. What am I thinking of? Posture.
Yeah,
there's a natural posture, and their bodies are made for this thing. And you go, they're not putting on a show. Here is a guy literally just like legs akimbo, just totally spread, like going, yeah, even with my binoculars up, I'm a badass.
Well, it definitely screams of what the case is, which is a guy who goes, I've always wanted to be an action hero, and here I am. Like James Woods in his interview on the Blu-ray is going, this is the kind of movie I wanted to be in since I wanted to be in movies, man. This was the dream. And it is like, yeah, if anything, he's too psyched about it, right? He's too like, fuck yeah.
Basically, in his head, there's just this one thought that's running, and it's just like, it's finally happening. Yeah. It's finally happening. It's happening.
Because I think the thing about like a Kurt Russell brings is Snake Plissken doesn't give a fuck. That's why he's a badass. He isn't posing. He just is cool because he is like, I don't have time for this shit, man.
Yep.
This is a guy going, fuck yeah, I'm going to hunt some vampires. Hell yeah, man.
This is performative badassery.
I still enjoy it, though. Because it's the one time he did it. I do, like I said, maybe it's not objectively good, but there is just something so odd about this casting that I kind of enjoy. And some of the shittier moments in it, I actually think are entertaining because I'm like, who the fuck thought this was like a studio movie where the protagonist talks like this?
Yep.
And apparently that's all James Woods. So anyway, they prep their gear. We've got Daniel Baldwin, who at this time has a little heat on him from Homicide. I think that's where he's got some of the plot, because that's really the biggest thing he did, right? Was Homicide. They all had, every Baldwin had their moment.
Yeah.
Right? Like Billy had Backdraft, and Steven had Usual Suspects, and Daniel had Homicide.
Oh, Steven also had Jesus.
Yes. Well, Daniel too. Daniel kicked all the booze and drugs and went Jesus. He's in a lot. Well, we saw you were on.
Does he join Steven in the van? Like this drive around?
I don't know if he's doing that, but they're both making Fox News appearances these days.
Oh man.
I'm just trying to imagine those Baldwin Thanksgivings, because we know that Alec is about as far left as you can get. And those guys.
Yeah.
It is fitting and sad for him that this was the studio going, could we get Alec? No. Okay, we'll take Daniel, I guess. Like, literally, that apparently was the conversation. Well, if we want Alec,
discount Baldwin.
Well, and he's deep discount Baldwin, because I think Billy is more in demand than Daniel is. My God.
That's a 6 of one, half dozen the other, right there. That's apples and oranges.
Well, I feel like once you're past Alec, you're just reaching into the barrel and pulling out one of them. It really is. And a big problem I think all of them have is they're all too much like Alec. So they all do feel like discount Alec, because they all look and sound like him.
They all have that
voice.
And
so it is always, yeah, exactly. And that's the thing where you're going like, I'm cognizantly aware of this. It's like a uncanny valley thing where you're going, that's not Alec Baldwin. So anyway, yeah, he's there, and he's the guy running the winch outside, which this is the shit I love, man. Shooting vampires with crossbows and then yanking them out into the sun. That's pretty awesome, man.
It's pretty awesome.
As far as vampire killing technique.
When they get to this boarded up building,
it's a nest.
Which of course
once again, I love the workaday mercenary where they go like, it's a nest. We got 5 goons and a master inside. I love that. It's like, this is what we do. Vampires.
And then they outfit the shit. And as they do that, I can hear John having an orgasm from miles away as they're pulling out all
for this shit,
their vampire fighting. And I do love
when they're pulling out the lances and the spears and the crossbow. And the crossbows look cool. They don't look like regular crossbows. They're like chrome, and he's got a flashlight on it. Wire poon on it. I mean, like that kind of thing. And also, I love just fucking guns too, man.
Oh, that makes no sense. And that really drove me crazy, is because here's the thing. These guys, this is their job. They are the pros.
They're the best. I mean, aren't we to basically presume Jack Crow, if you were listening to the action show, if you check this off on your bingo, he's the best.
I don't know about that, because I mean, maybe America-wise, because we hear about a European group, and I mean, they're all over.
But it seems like they go to him for like a lot of the stuff. He's also, and of course, being the hero of the movie, he's the one with the vendetta, right? He's at least the most determined to kill vampires because they fucked up his life, man.
But the thing here is that he'll even explain rules later on in one of those typical things like, everything you know about vampires is bullshit.
Man,
here's what I can tell you.
Can't make a vampire movie without doing that scene. It's
insane.
That's a bingo card thing. It is insane, though. It's crazy. But
he basically says the only things that work on them is the sun and staking them in the heart.
Yeah.
So why do they have fucking guns? The guns do nothing. And they themselves, I'd understand if it was the local cop or whatever, but they themselves, there's no reason for guns at all. And yet they are wasting bullets. I mean, I'm like, what the fuck?
Because it's cool, man. It really is just.
I think it just falls down on the end of what's cool. And towards the end, when he's like tossing a gun to the priest, I'm like, what is that? What's the point?
The priest is the only person who uses a gun correctly because he shoots the human cardinal with it.
Sure, there's that. Now, if they said they had
we'll get to Tim Guinea in a second.
No, but bullets doesn't work either. I mean, even if they had silver or less bullets,
the bullets
doesn't matter.
Impacting them at least. I don't know. Is that meant to just hold them back?
It could be a stalling thing because they do jerk with it, and then they're like that stops them from moving for a second.
One of my favorite scenes in the history of cinema, I think, is James Woods screaming at a vampire as he's shooting it in the face and riding it out. That's later in the movie. But I've always just been like, what an insane He's like, you motherfucker! Bam, 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 bam.
And then as soon as they get on the sun, James Woods becomes a whole different person that rolls off that body because that body has been rigged to explode.
Now, we'll talk about Thomas Ian Griffith, who did all of his own stunt work in this movie.
Oh, wow.
Because one of the big things is...
well, he is a martial arts master.
That was the big reason why Carpenter cast him, was because...
And he looks great as a vampire.
Well, that's the thing, exactly. It was sort of, he's going, if this character doesn't have a lot of lines, I need somebody who can really think about the physicality of this character. And Thomas Ian Griffith being, number one, 6'4" also helps a lot.
Yeah.
And knows how to move and do wire work and all that stuff. And he's just great. I've always loved him particularly in this movie. But yeah, so they go in here, but yeah, they are just mowing these fuckers down and then dragging them out into the sun. I also love the scene where the priest is blessed in the beginning, and James Woods is doing like a yeah, let's go, yeah, sure.
And yeah, well, okay, one thing I did like about it, and I mean, this is a thing I liked about it, is that they are respectful of the church, but they're not necessarily believers. So yeah, it's a hurry up and wait or whatever. Yeah. Like, get this out of the way. We can do our prayer. But I did like that Jack Crow and Father Giovanni is the character's name, played by Gregory Sierra.
Who's great.
He's great. I wish he had stuck around, but they have to kill him off, of course.
Yep.
But there's like an actual kind of fondness. I liked that. I mean, they're all teammates. And even when they end up doing their post...
Come on, Padre really feels like a James Woods to me. Come on, Padre.
Yeah, Padre. And post nest wiping out orgy, where it's still like, hey, buddy, I know you're not going to hook up with the whores like we are, but at least you're getting drunk and having fun, Padre. And you're not going to judge us for sleeping with whores. Certainly a word that gets a lot of play in this movie.
You know who would have been better in this that has the same energy, and he's still not a perfect fit, is Dennis Leary. But
Leary could have been okay.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, some of the energy of okay, Padre, come on, let's fucking go, man. Like, I feel like Leary would have been less posing in it. But But if you just want the wisecracking, like over it badass, that could have been Leary.
Could have been,
because I think it almost feels like James Woods is doing a Dennis Leary impression sometimes. The fucking vampires, man, the fucking vampire, like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway, no. Once again, I recognize it's detrimental to the movie, but I like the weirdness of James Woods. So I am okay. That is So anyway, so they start They start staking and dragging. And then it is, I do like, once again, I love all the, like, and then you do as well, all the work a day stuff when they go like, all right, everybody's staked. All right, now we got to start cutting off heads. All right, we got to do this. It's just sort of like the checklist of, we burn the bodies, we stake the people, we decapitate the heads, we dump them. But the big thing here is, I thought there was supposed to be a master inside. There isn't. Yeah,
that's the bit, and it's bugging Jack Crow. The rest of them are like, it doesn't matter, man. We wiped out that.
I would say that's the point when you realize these guys aren't good vampire hunters. Then if they're just like, whatever, man, and only Jack Crow is going, no, that seems like that's bad.
Yeah, yeah. It seems as if they were basically. Maybe they haven't done too much of this job.
It's unclear, and I think the idea is supposed to be it is much more of a calling for Jack Crow than it is for these other guys.
Yeah.
Once again, he's got the vendetta. He was also there's just a couple lines about it that he was raised by the church. He's almost like born to be a vampire hunter.
Yeah, because a vampire killed his mom or something, and
a vampire bit his dad.
Oh, okay.
Who didn't tell them, then turned into a vampire and killed his mom, and then he had to kill his father. I killed my own fucking father, man. Because he has that whole scene when he's talking to the priest later, and the guy's like, you won't hurt me. He's like, I killed my own fucking father, man. Imagine what I'll do to you.
I won't do it. I'll do it.
I didn't know Stallone was in it. I'll fucking do it. Actually, he would have been good in this, too. You could pretty much... Well, you could design it. And what I'm saying is, this is such a stock action hero character. You could sort of plug in anybody's action hero persona into it.
Yeah, you could have. You know what? I can't say this for a fact because I didn't read the book.
Mm-hmm.
The name itself, Jack Crow, indicates to me that it's possible the original author was thinking of a Native American character.
Man, I don't remember. I mean, I haven't read the book in a long time. I don't remember there being much
I know that
description of
Crow
him.
is not necessarily a rare last name, but it's more likely that you would encounter an indigenous person with Crow as a last
Ooh.
name. And how cool would it have been to have, like, geez, fill in the blank?
I was gonna say Wes Studi.
Wes Studi would have been
Studi.
badass.
That this is a thing about how shitty Hollywood is that they wouldn't have done that. But
No, they wouldn't have done it.
But
Yeah,
Wes
that's the problem.
Studi, I always loved that dude. Man, he rules. He's so fucking good in Last of the Mohicans.
Oh, yeah.
And Heat. And he's still doing stuff over on Reservation Dogs. When I saw him on there, I'm like, yeah,
Yep.
man.
Yep.
Wes
I was really happy to
Studi.
see him too.
Love that guy.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
now I feel like there'd be a lot of good people. You've got
Well, it's just because they're starting to actually get big parts.
Yeah.
And there are actual shows and movies being written for them specifically.
the guy. I love that guy who was on. Rutherford Falls, who played Terry.
Yeah.
That guy's really cool, and he was just on 1923 as well, kicking a lot of ass on there.
See, that's one of the things I like about, any good actor, but the thing where he has the kind of build and face you're expecting to be kind of like the stern hero or bad guy or something.
Mhm.
And then Rutherford Falls, it's like he is really funny.
He's
It's
so
like
funny.
he just has a
Damn you, Peacock, for canceling that show. Huge mistake. Very good show.
It was very good, and it was one of the feel-good shows where,
It
like
really
Ted
was?
Lasso or something,
Yeah.
where you're laughing, and all the characters are good people, and I like it.
I do love this shot because then we see they drive off and go like, whatever, man, let's just go party. And you do see Valak raise up out of the dirt, and this is a very Carpenter-y image of these vampires. And Carpenter talks about this on the interview, and this is his big thing. He goes, I didn't want these things to be fucking sexy and romantic. He goes, they're fucking rodents, man. They're rats. They're predators. They're in the dirt.
I like that too, except for most of the time, our lead bad, what's his name, Valak.
Yeah.
He does look like Hot Topic vampire. Not necessarily sexy, but he looks great coming up out of the ground. And there's at least one shot where all of the masters, when they're like a group of them, they rise up, and it's pretty badass. It's greatly shot because it is people crawling out of the dirt.
Yeah.
And they walk off in
apparently,
dirt.
This was not fun to film, according to Thomas Ian
Oh,
Griffith.
I can only imagine.
Because he goes, we're only going to bury you about a foot down. He goes, then you realize what a foot of dirt feels like on top of you.
Yeah, it cannot be
It's
fun.
one of those things where he goes, I had a breathing apparatus, but the second that dirt starts to come over your head, you're like, no, this is wrong, man. This is just wrong.
But essentially, within 2 seconds of looking like a guy who crawls out of the dirt, then he looks perfectly pristine.
He's very stock vampire looking. Thomas Ian Griffith is bringing a lot to it, more than the design of the character himself. I think.
Yeah, he's got long, flowing black hair at a widow's peak,
Now,
and I do love a classic vampire look. But I'm like, why do they all look like that? Why can't he be a brown-haired, non-widow peaked vampire? Why does he have to look like Dracula? In this case, they're calling him. Eventually, we call him the first vampire. He was the first, and we get mythology on why he's the first.
Jan Valek is his
Jan Valek.
Jan Valek, and he is. This is kind of an interesting idea. He is basically the Catholic Church's fault. Like they kind of inadvertently created vampires.
Yeah, because he was a priest.
Yeah, the guy,
and he was
possessed.
A priest doing something.
Yeah,
bad.
And then they tried to exorcise him, but it didn't work, and they turned him into a vampire.
Yes, they tried to exorcise
as many times as I've seen
demon
this,
out of him.
I will say, as many times as I've seen this movie, some of that myth and stuff in it, it goes out of my head.
Yeah.
All that matters to me is he's the first vampire, and the Catholic Church feels responsible. That's what's important.
Yes, and
he's
they
seeking.
Know what he's after. He's after a thing.
He's after the
Black Cross.
The Black Cross, which Thomas Ian Griffith, I think he talked about this, and he goes, my take on the character was, I just want that cross. Every single scene is, I want that cross. Anything in my way, I destroy. And so and I think that comes through. He goes, he's just totally singularly minded. Every scene,
he's Terminator.
Yeah, exactly. And that really works. He goes, I don't, anything else that comes up is secondary to that goal. And I think that I love the interview with him because, number one, he's a super smart guy and primarily a screenwriter, actually, outside of being an actor. Thomas Ian Griffith, most of his career has been writing. In fact, he had retired from acting until Cobra Kai came knocking. But which I'm so glad they did, because holy shit, he's so good on there.
Oh, he's great.
But he was talking about that, and I think it goes, a character like this that I believe, according to IMDb, has 14 lines of dialogue in the whole movie. But the idea of there's still hiring an actual actor and not just a stunt man, there's still a performance being crafted, even if it is this monster movie.
Right.
And I think that's key. And the other thing, Carpenter kept him away from the rest of the cast always, unless they were filming.
Well, that's good thinking.
Don't call James Woods. Don't hang out with these guys. He goes, I only want you to see them.
Probably good for his health, actually.
Yeah, I know, right? Well, he's still working. That's interesting. Like James Woods. I will say, James Woods kind of shitty in that interview where he goes like, yeah, man, when I was, and actually kind of what you're talking about, he goes, yeah, I was, my character smacked around Cheryl Lee. That probably wouldn't fly today because everybody's so sensitive and gets so offended these days.
Just, it's hard to watch, and it would have been hard to watch back then as well.
Agreed on that.
Because the way they dehumanize her, like even before she turns, even before she's been bitten, because she's just a hooker that comes to this party at the hotel.
Well, a way to play this would have been if you had Woods treat her like this, but always had Daniel Baldwin be empathetic to her, at least.
If you had one of them, yes, like, oh, dude, calm down,
because it could have
been
like
she's going through something. She's a real human,
and it
being.
Would have made sense to me from a character standpoint. Of Woods is like, these things are fucking rodents that need to be exterminated. So she's been bitten. She's one of them. Fuck her. She's not human. And if you had Montoya be more like, hey man, I don't know, I think there's still, and I'm really sorry this happened to you. Instead, he's also going, you fucking bitch.
Until the story does require him to suddenly go, hey, what's your name?
Yeah. But I do. There's the scene where
and by the way, she is a character in this movie for, I don't know, half an hour before anyone goes, what's your name?
Hey, who? And
they haul her around like a piece of meat. And that is meant to make them look like we are not heroic. We are scuzzy. We are just trying to use her as bait. They do say it. She's bait. She will lead us to the bad guy.
I like this story idea because she's bitten and whatever. There's a mental connection, and
they took that straight from Bram Stoker.
Sure, yeah, trademark. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. I like that though, and they're using her as a compass basically to find this guy. But let's get to so they're all partying at this hotel. And I do like the way Valak just walks in, knocks on the door, and starts tearing people apart.
This is a badass scene.
This is probably the best scene in the movie.
Good. I like my vampires to be evil. I mean, okay, I like a sympathetic vampire. It all depends on the story.
Whatever works. But I also agree.
But this guy walks in and... there's nothing about being invited. Of course, it's a hotel, public building. Doesn't matter. But he walks in and he just kills. And he doesn't say, where's the blah, blah, blah. Mm-mm. He doesn't talk. He just comes in and it doesn't matter. Like, those killed my goons. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter. He's taking out the prostitutes. He's just killing everybody.
He just kills everybody in this room. Just slaughters.
I will say the editing here is kind of bad because... Padre and Jack Crow are only a room away.
Yeah.
And they keep doing these cuts back to them in slow motion, like they're turning at the sound of people being killed. And then they start moving. And these are intercut with
Valak.
I'm sorry, I keep saying Vladik, but Valak slaughtering them. And I'm like, unless he's doing it at super speed, how long does it take those two guys to enter from the next room?
Sure.
Oh, and by the way, Sheryl Lee was introduced as she flirts with Jack Crow. Interestingly enough, of course, it's not the guy that will become the love of her life.
Isn't that interesting? That also, there's some just weird decisions story.
Well, I mean, he's the leader of the group, and maybe she's just like, I want to single you out, and she's like, I will blow you, and he's like, well, that sounds great. Except
for once again, because it's James Woods, I'm like, oh, please don't show anything sexual.
Yeah. Well, we don't get too much there.
No. I will say, actually, this movie is not nearly as exploitational on that side of it than it could have been and would have been, I think, with a different director. Because I was thinking this when I was watching it. Carpenter is not generally throws a lot of nudity into his movies. Halloween, it was sort of like, it was like an agreed upon thing because he was a director for hire there, and it's sort of like, well, you got to have some stabbings and some boobs. But I think about most of his other movies, he's more of a gore hound than he is sexy ladies, or he has sexy ladies, but they're like,
really. I mean, this scene is just. And it's not trying to be sexy. It's there's a bunch of prostitutes and a bunch of horny drunken guys
I was talking about
celebrating a successful mission.
I was talking about more later with Sheryl Lee when she's naked in the hotel. He didn't. I mean, he could have shown, and once again, other directors I think would have gone way harder at that. I mean, hell, even Lynch objectifies her more than Carpenter does.
Yeah.
And look, that's nowhere to, Lynch is amazing, but
I don't know about it being exploitation in the case. It's hard to read David Lynch's intentions, but when he's using nudity, even though he does show a lot more and do a lot more serious, you don't get the feeling that he's like going, "This is for the fellas."
No,
there's a little something for daddy.
Both him and Cronenberg are directors I love who use a lot of sex, but it's always like.
There's no way you could ever get off on this.
It's psychosexual. It's like built into the DNA of their movies. It's about that, and almost like how disturbing it is. Also, James Woods in Videodrome, which is that's a good James Woods performance.
He's good here.
He's good here. It's just
not the guy. James Woods a good actor.
I loved once again James Woods as an actor. But I also agree he should not be in movies anymore, which I think Hollywood has always agreed on now for a while.
Yeah, it's like, sorry, you lost your mind and you lost your rights to be lauded.
And he was always kind of a piece of shit. I mean, there's all the stories about him and Sean Young and stuff like that.
And the cocaine excuse can only go so far.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
I like him. I like him as an actor, and he's good here. I think and so he comes in. Once again, you get a lot of guys flying through the air shooting guns. I like that.
I know you do.
Blam blam. I like when they go blam blam blam. And then I like when the cars go vroom. I'm very easy to please as an audience member.
Man, I thought I was going to lose it when they got in that car and they turned it on. I thought my mind was going to blow up and fly out of my head.
I'm those movie reviewers from SCTV. They blowed it up real good.
They blowed it up so fucking good.
Yeah, that's me watching movies. So they Woods and Baldwin escape. I do think this has to be some budgetary thing. Just that they couldn't shoot more than this, because the scene where they realize Sheryl Lee's bitten and James Woods is like, no, bring her, is all like one wide take, and he's very quickly like, no, bring her, because she'll be connected to the master. We can use her fun to get in the car. Let's go. And I just thought, like, man, they must have been like struggling to make their day when they shot that, because it's so just like, well, that's important.
But it also does feel in that moment like the leader of the gang or the leader of the group is like going, you know how this works. So what is that thing of like, oh, I don't have to explain it too much.
Yeah, but to the audience, it just comes off as like, we just gotta, there's no like, you would think he'd like cut in for a close up of going, wait, we can use her, get her in. It's just like, we can just put her in the, let's go. This is only a $20 million movie. By the way, it cost $20 million and it made $20 million. They basically broke even on this thing, which probably explains why there's a straight-to-video sequel, which I have also seen and we will talk about. Vampires Los Muertos.
Vampires of Death.
Yeah. And if you thought James Woods was an ill fit for a vampire hunter, wait till you see John Bon Jovi.
Oh my God.
Yeah, we lose Woods, we get Bon Jovi.
Is he Jack Crow?
No.
Oh, okay.
It's a different. It's the same universe, and he's and I think there's some mention of Jack Crow. I think it's one of those things.
So he has to hold on to what they've got. It doesn't make a difference if they make it or not.
The biggest thing that shocked me about it, there is no song by Bon Jovi in it. That makes no sense. Why would you hire him if he's not going to also do a song for the soundtrack?
Because he's a fine actor.
Is he? I've seen that movie. He's not good.
But he and Rick Springfield should have done a two-hander at some point, and they never did.
And actually, that would have helped Rick Springfield because he's a better actor than Bon Jovi.
It is true. I'll give him that.
He's not an amazing.
I'm being snarky, but he's better.
He's not an amazing actor, but he can kind of act at least.
Yes.
That movie also, I guess, is a stay tuned for that episode. Has a little baby Diego Luna in it.
He's tiny.
Just a tiny little Diego Luna in that film. Okay, so they drive out of here. They end up crashing their truck. Baldwin then goes to a gas station and steals, hey, it's cameo of the movie, Frank Darabont's car.
Oh, is that who that?
That's Frank Darabont, whose car he steals. We love Frank Darabont. Huge nerd, good filmmaker.
I kept thinking, okay, I do understand this for story. And they keep stressing, like, dude, we have 11 hours till the sun goes down or whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm sitting there going, stealing a guy's car. Mm-hmm. They are connected to the Vatican, which is probably the richest private organization in all of the world. Mm-hmm. And they have to go to a rest stop kind of place or like some sort of gas station and fucking hold this guy up and go, we're taking your car.
Well, because it's interesting. At the same time that he's stealing Frank Darabont's car, Woods is calling into the Catholic Church.
Yes, exactly.
So it is sort of like, but it's like, we got to get on the move. And then they split up because he goes to meet with the Cardinal, Woods, and he goes, hey, you get a hotel for you and the fucking whore. Sorry, that was a James Woods improv. That's just what I feel Jack Crow would say.
And Jack Crow is a real stand-up guy.
Yeah, and once again, it doesn't take much Googling to find out James Woods had some problems with women in real life. More than a few. He was also one of those guys who was like 65 with a 24-year-old girlfriend, which, whatever, I'm not here to judge, but I just think you know what? I am here to judge. It's a bad look. I'll just leave it at that. I think it's a bad look.
Yeah.
That's all I'll say. Yeah. Then I was always like, ugh. And James Woods just has although one of my favorite James Woods performances legitimately is him as the voice of Hades and Hercules. I think he's hilarious in that.
Yeah.
All right. So Baldwin goes to get a hotel. And once again, Carpenter, it's almost like, is Carpenter doing this purposely because he thinks it's funny? He has Baldwin be such an asshole to this front desk guy. It's almost like Carpenter's going, I'm going to go out of my way to make these guys unlikable.
I know. There's a lot of unnecessary stuff in there. But it is also weird script-wise where the guy goes, is that your wife?
Yeah.
No one works at a hotel, even this one, which seems to be slightly step up. It's not a motel, it's a nice hotel.
Yeah.
But he's like, is that your wife? They wouldn't ask that. But he's like, no, it's your fucking mother. Yeah. No, he goes, it's my mom.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing about it. I think that's also where, even with the same script, Russell and Campbell would have had a little bit more charm. Like, even being assholes. The thing is, Woods and Baldwin just are harsh dudes in general.
Yeah.
So then when you have them say harsh things, Russell as Snake Plissken, although Snake Plissken is not as big a piece of shit as Jack Crow, but he can kind of be like, fuck you, man, and it's kind of cool.
And there's not a lot of sympathy he has for almost anybody, but it's also that's the world he's living in.
To be fair, there's not a lot of people to have sympathy for in that world.
Right. Exactly.
He's the hero by default in Escape from New York because he has
now one thing
we
haven't mentioned humanity. Though, is that her name ends up being Catherine or Katrina.
Katrina, yeah.
Katrina. She got bit
Yes.
during that fight at the motel. So the reason they have kept her is that she hasn't turned yet, but once she starts to turn, she will have a telepathic link to the master. And so that's why they're keeping her.
Yeah.
Her acting, I mean, she is a good actor, but what she has been required to do for about 15 minutes so far between that attack and them checking into this hotel is she looks drugged out of her mind. And yeah, of course, that's why there's the side eye from the guy at the hotel. Like, is that your wife?
Yeah.
Because she looks literally like she's OD'd or it will OD.
Yeah.
And then her part starts to expand a little bit once she wakes up completely nude and strapped down to a bed.
I love when she wakes up and he goes, hey, relax. I took your clothes off. I cleaned you up and I strapped you to this bed. And I love, what part of that is supposed to relax her, man?
I know.
Hey,
he goes,
fucking calm down, lady.
You're confused. I'm going to tell you what's happened to you. You got bitten by a vampire and all that. I mean, and yeah, at no point does this come off as comforting or whatever.
Especially when it's fucking Daniel Baldwin. Oh,
I
God.
know. And he's literally on top of her, by the way.
Hey, yeah, come on, man. Yeah, and she's strapped down front on her chest, which, I mean, for Cheryl Lee's, it's not just like boobs, but it is also more disturbing in some ways.
It's highly vulnerable because she's nude and ass in the air kind of thing. And strapped,
and he's like,
so she can only kind of turn her head to the side.
And he's just like, "Calm down, you fucking bitch."
And he's like going, and he has, and that's again, there's this ugliness that you could play it a certain way, but especially if you want this character and the other character to have some bond later in the movie, maybe this isn't how you play this.
No, it's weird.
He puts his hand over her mouth and he's like going, all right, I'm going to take my hand off your mouth, but if you scream, I'm going to fucking cap you, okay? Yeah. I'm just going to talk to you and tell you some shit. Is it okay if I'm going to take my hand off now? You bitch, whatever. And then she's like, can I at least get some clothes on? And he's like, yeah, there's the bathroom in there. I'll untie you.
This is also incredibly shitty.
Yeah, and she goes, well, can I at least get a towel or something? And he's like going, I've already seen you naked.
I've seen it all, baby.
And he goes, oh, I guess I'll get you a towel. He mocks her for her
fucking asshole.
I know.
That's the thing.
And it's the actor and it is what's written. It's a combo. But Daniel Baldwin is so fucking scuzzy.
That's what I'm saying is like, these characters are written as assholes, but then when you cast actors who are just assholes, it really comes off as like, good God.
Yep.
Like I said, I think somebody like a Bruce Campbell could have at least made like some humanity in there while still being kind of an asshole.
Yep.
Instead, it's just like, no, because you totally imagine them calling cut and then Daniel Baldwin and James Woods going, can you believe what a fucking bitch she was being in that take? Like, it just seems like they would just be like that. And I also loved, of course, James Woods in his interview goes, oh, I love Danny. We had such a great time. I'm like, I bet you did. And I bet you two terrorized the New Mexico town you shot in.
But supposedly he stayed sober for that. I mean, so maybe they had asshole sober fun.
Yeah, I don't know.
Sober asshole fun.
Yeah. And I love that. Again, the fucking low bar for Carpenter was like, I don't know, he was never drunk on set, so I'll take that.
I know. Fine, whatever.
Yeah, Jesus.
But yeah,
Christ.
so he's just they've split up so Jack Crow can meet with the Vatican representative, who is Maximilian Schell.
Oh man, this is a total like, all right, Carpenter got one, right? Like,
yeah, he's there, he's fine.
It's kind of a waste of him. I will say.
Yeah, because anyone could have done this, though he lends a Maximilian Schellness to it.
He does. He elevates, and he gets the whole thing here about, that's Jon Valak. He's, I wrote this down. He is, where did I say? The first and most powerful.
Yes. He's there, but one thing I did crack up about, they will eventually, like within scenes, say, there's a reason all this activity is focused in the Southwest.
Yeah.
And there's also later, very late in the movie, the new priest guy who we're about to meet.
Yeah.
He gets shown a map and he goes, see all this vampire activity? This is a map of vampire activity in the States that goes back to the 1800s or some shit. and you can see that it's a slowly tightening circle here to the southwest. So, okay, that makes sense. But at this point in the movie, early, right at this scene, I'm sitting there going like, the Vatican has a guy just on call sitting out there in wherever the fuck they are, Santa Madre or St. Peter. I'm like, and it's a European
San
cardinal.
Miguel. I think it's San Miguel.
San Miguel, sure. But you've got a European Catholic cardinal just sitting there in case Jack Crow calls.
Yeah.
I'm like, fuck.
Hello.
And he has his American young protege with him, who is a priest, played
Father
by
Adam.
what's his name again?
Tim Guinea, who I actually think is really good in this.
He is good and actually lends the right amount of. He is a true believer, and he's young and idealistic.
He's the one character who's not a massive piece of shit.
Right, and he believes in the cause, even though he's never actually killed a vampire.
There's an earnestness that is refreshing, and I think, this is the guy that Carpenter talked the most about. Like, oh, he's wonderful. Oh, what a great actor he is. And if you look, this guy's been in a million. This guy works all the time. He is clearly and I've seen him and stuff. He's one of those guys you've seen, but you probably don't know his name, I feel like. Tim Guinea.
It is very true, because when I looked him up on IMDb after watching the movie,
he's been in a million
I didn't recognize him at all.
Yeah.
But then when I looked him up, I was like, fuck. He's been in things I've seen this year.
Yeah.
He's had this long career. I had no fucking idea.
Well, because as
he plays Colin Firth's brother in the dramatization of The Staircase. And I watched the fuck out of that.
He's an Iron Man. I mean, my God, he's one of the Air Force guys. He's like the guy next to Rhodes in Iron Man. He's just one of these guys. I remember him on, I think he was on Justified. He's been on like every TV show ever. But and that's, you know why that is? I think it's what Carpenter goes. He goes, that guy can do anything, man. He goes, he'd come in to the office and I wouldn't even know it was him sometimes because he was working on some other project. He goes, that guy is just, and so I get the sense that when you have a Woods and a Baldwin, you're just hoping they're sober. And then clearly Carpenter's like, oh, thank God, a guy who actually cares about acting. All right, I can direct. Like the other two are basically just like, please don't be coked up maniacs. Because this is the only guy who he had effusive things to say about, going like, oh, I love that guy. So that and he is good, and he is so needed to make this movie even remotely tolerable, because he's the only person who seems to be taking things seriously beyond.
There is a tonal. I like his character a lot, and I think he plays it really well.
Yeah.
But there's this tonal thing, because the rest of the movie, specifically what Woods is bringing to it, and Baldwin to some degree, and I think Carpenter's, encouraging it, is sort of this pulpy, stylized cartoon comic book thing.
Right.
And the movie I keep envisioning, which is closer to Near Dark, this guy would have fit much better. Sure. Because even though that can go big, it's only big because of what the characters are doing. The world is our world and very grounded. This doesn't feel that way. Right. So you have this earnest character, and I do like that he is, the survivor at the end, spoiler alert, and that he is going to be part of the new group. I like all that. But he's like the likable guy. Here's
the thing. Carpenter had a pitch for a sequel that wasn't and it would have had this guy be the main character and not have Woods in it.
Yeah.
He would have been the leader of a team of vampire hunters then. I'm going, well, that's kind of telling about Carpenter going, well, I'll make another one if Woods isn't in it.
Yeah.
He's Carpenter is a guy, though, who will, especially now, just be like, yeah, I fucking hated that. He is a guy who has nothing to lose. And he does he doesn't like say that about this movie, where he just goes like, I don't know, man. I had this idea. Like, what if the vampires are in the ground? That look kind of cool. He does. He's not, and he gets most animated when he talks about the guitarist he got to play with him on the score. Oh, that guy ruled, man. He's going like, yeah, it's clear. Like, I don't think John Carpenter would like go, that's one of my great ones, vampires. But all of his stories just like, I thought that was fun. I thought that was cool. Sure, man. I don't know. And I do love that behind him he's got all the really nice action figures of his characters. He's got the Snake
cool.
Plissken and the McCready and all that stuff. And you're just going like, oh god, that guy he's a full-on nerd, man.
But he doesn't have the Jack Crow action figure?
They don't make one, Brendan, because
What?
I think I might have it if they did.
You would.
NECA. If NECA
would.
made a Jack Crow, I probably would buy it. I just saying, that's out there. Although I don't think anybody's looking to give anyone giving money to James Woods. You know?
No, yeah, you would have to give him something for his likeness.
I
Yeah,
think that's where you go. So
then
anyway,
it's probably for the best we do not have those action figures.
so this we get James Woods' backstory. We get Jack Crow's backstory because the priest goes, "I know who you are. You're Jack Crow. Your family was killed by a vampire when you were a kid, raised by the Catholic Church. Hey, yeah, whatever, Padre. Okay, you know."
Yeah, it's like, all right, so you read my dossier? Fine. You ever killed a vampire? No. And this is where he goes, only thing that works is stakes in the heart, even though we have a bunch of other shit, and the sun. Why do we fish them and pull them out of buildings when we could just open windows? I don't know, because it's fucking cool.
Yeah. You tell me, is that way cooler? But then how does he defeat Valak at the end? He just breaks a roof open.
Well, yeah, at that point, it's like, no, we're not pulling him out. We're pulling the whole building down.
Hell yeah,
boom,
man.
There's the sun, Valak.
And Valak does go up. Valak has a pretty sick vampire death.
Again, the effects in this.
Really good.
For the time period.
Really good.
Really good. The body's going up and the flames are...
Because I think there's not the overuse of CGI before it's ready, which is done in some of the other movies we've watched where it's like...
Well, I think a lot of these flames are practical, and they've rigged them to go up in because, you know, just like with fireworks, you can put different chemicals in to get different flames. So you got... These are kind of greenish yellow.
I like it, yeah.
And it's just like, oh, it looks good.
This is where Thompson and Griffith in his interview is going like, they'd show me all this stuff and go, it should be safe. And he goes like, okay. He said there's a lot of like, I trust you. And he goes, well, I mean, they did. They took care of him. But it's just like, they're going, so we're going to put you on this wire. We're going to light you on fire. And it's just like, cool. Yeah, I trust you.
Yep.
But yeah, so we gets the whole backstory. I think Woods drops a couple of F slurs in here, which I did not enjoy.
Oh yeah, he does.
I think he does because
he uses one as a full on pejorative dig at Valak. He says to his face, he goes, he calls him an F-word fashion victim.
He does. That's got to be Woods. I don't see John Carpenter having written that.
Fashion victim, funny. Yeah. The other part, you're like going, oh, because you're a tough guy and it's 1998, and that's a way to...
The one that's got to be Woods as well is he goes, 6,000 years old. How's that dick working, pal?
Yeah. There's a lot of him questioning how people's dicks are working and whether the act of killing vampires has given them erections.
And Woods is on the fucking Blu-ray going, yeah, that was all me, man. And I'm sure John Carpenter's like, yeah, feel free to take credit for that shit. I don't know why you put in the movie, John. But look, I'll just say this. His movie after this is Ghosts of Mars. This is a fucking masterpiece compared to Ghosts of Mars, which is unwatchable.
Yeah.
God damn. And that pretty much was it for Carpenter after that.
Yeah.
This is a step up from Memoirs of an Invisible Man, though, which is the last time we talked about Carpenter.
I don't know. I enjoy that one more.
Really? That one I find to just be just absolutely nothing. Like there's no fun to be had in it. It's less problematic than this, but there's like no highlights in that movie.
Yeah. Neither's great.
This one at least has some moments in it. Anyway, like I said, I kind of like this movie while also once again acknowledging it is horribly offensive and just needlessly mean. All right, so they find out he's looking for the Black Cross, and the Black Cross, if they perform the ceremony with it, will allow Valak to walk in the sun, and then world domination, I guess, from there.
Yeah, and there's some things that he needs that, again, they don't really set this up. We find out towards the end. He needs the blood of a crusader, which in this case means one of the vampire hunters, in this case, Crow.
Yep.
And he needs a priest, basically to finish the ceremony. And their plan is to, should I spoil it, John?
Don't, no, yeah.
One of the things that Crow's like, how did they know we were going to be there? How did Valak know not to be at that nest? And then he's like, there's got to be some sort of mole in the organization, which is funny because his entire crew is wiped out. And the European crew, we find out, was also wiped out.
Yeah, there's a whole thing about, Valak took these guys out.
Yeah, so he's like, all right, so there's got to be a mole. And then, of course, it turns out that the Cardinal, Maximilian Schell, is the mole. And so he was going to be the priest to finish off the ceremony as soon as Valak. And really, why didn't if the Cardinal's in on it, why didn't he, instead of Valak being on this mission and killing everyone, why didn't he just walk into that one church, grab the Black Cross? He's actually from the Catholic Church. There would have been no need for
I'm not saying this thing makes a lot of sense.
It doesn't. But Valak has found out that the legendary Black Cross that he needs to finish the thing is in this. Is it New Mexico or California? Where is this?
It's New Mexico.
Yeah. Okay.
And yes, they're following his. And you get fucking Cheryl Lee just doing the work, man, for what little she's here. When she's doing the thing of seeing him kill a priest.
I will say this, and I've
seen
her in many a film, of course, not just David Lynch, but other films. When she's called upon to do, it's either due to drugs or due to something, but she is one of our best shaky, on the verge of an OD actresses I've ever seen.
I guess that's probably another reason.
She is acting her ass off in this thankless part because she starts doing the shake and her eyes are red rimmed and she's looking really fragile and she's fighting it, and then she has a vision and she's like, I see him killing a priest. He's in a church and he's getting the Black Cross, and you're like, all right, lady,
good stuff.
You earned every bit of whatever $20 and an Arby's gift card that you got for this movie.
I'm sure I'd be sad by how much of this $20 million budget went to James Woods.
Oof.
Well, and also you talk about going down the list of like, well, we can't get Kurt Russell, we can't get Clint Eastwood, we can't get Danny Glover, we can't get Tommy Lee. You do just start descending to James Woods, to be fair. And then James Woods is like, give it to me, man. This is everything I ever wanted to do. And here it is, James.
I'm so badass.
He got his one. I think a better James Woods action hero-esque film that I bring up a lot because I think it's really good, but not enough people talk about it, is The Hard Way with him and Michael J. Fox. I like that movie a lot.
Yeah.
That's very fun. And that's where he can be a huge asshole because Michael J. Fox is charming and it balances out. Anyway,
yes.
Anyway. All right. So they see this. Him decapitating the priest, all that shit is great. We should talk about her biting Daniel Baldwin because it also leads to Daniel Baldwin backhand slapping her into unconsciousness. Don't you love it? Well, because I do like the scene where she wakes up and realizes what's happening and goes to throw herself off the building. That's cool.
That is cool. I mean, the thing is that
what would be better is if he didn't then once again smack her into oblivion.
Well, the thing is that he can't let her die because she's the link. But she doesn't want to become a filthy, filthy vampire.
Can't blame her.
She's about to jump out of the window, and he grabs her and pulls her back in. That's pretty well shot too. Looks realistic and painful.
Carpenter.
And then he's like, what do you think you're doing? And she, whatever, doesn't want to be a part of it. And then, she kind of struggles a bit, and then he just hauls off and smacks the fuck out of her.
Big old fat Daniel Baldwin sends this tiny little lady flying.
Wait. Okay, yes. When they come back in from the window, he has injured himself. So she is in the early stages of changing. She sees...
Yeah, and she bites him,
Yeah, she sees the blood, and so it's almost like she just can't control it.
Yeah.
So she bites him, and then he goes to town on her.
Well, of course, what does he say? He goes, "You fucking bitch!"
Of course he does, because he's starting to develop feelings for her. And then just a few moments when they hook up again with Jack Crow, and he sees her, and she's all bound up, like in the trunk or whatever, in the backseat, whatever. And he's like, "Where'd she get that mark on?" And what's weird is Jack Crow start standing up for her for a bit. Like, I don't necessarily believe,
Oh,
because Baldwin comes up with a cover story like, she tried to throw herself out and I pulled her back in.
Man, it's bad news when James Woods is going, have you thought about this woman's feelings?
Yeah, he's like going, is that where that bruise is from?
Yeah.
Because it sure looks you smacked the fuck out of her. And I'm like going, you're the guy who also is like, take this piece of meat bait person who I call a bitch all the time and a whore. And I mean, Cheryl Lee, I mean, it was a different time and she is a different person. And I'm sure there were different things that were in the script and then got improv. And it probably wasn't the time to stand up to the director and just say, we have to change some of this because this is demeaning from beginning to end for this character. And there is
based on the way he talks about this movie and how checked out he seems, he probably would have been receptive to that, because I don't get the sense he was very precious about this movie, is what I'm saying about Carpenter. If he's letting Woods improvise all over the place, probably if she had said something, he would have been like, well, yeah, let's do something else, man. Really does feel like this is like Carpenter's going, you know, I haven't made a vampire movie.
Yeah, it is kind of like, yeah, all right. Has this one got a hook? Oh, it's got a pretty good hook. Yeah. Professional vampire. Yeah,
well, all the stuff we're reacting to that's cool, I think, is the stuff he cared about. Like, oh yeah, a guy gets split in half, or oh yeah, these vampires explode. That's where Carpenter's going. All right, and then the story. I mean, because this is late days Carpenter. Like I said, I think he only makes 2 more movies after this anyway. One of which I still have never seen, The Ward, which is the last film he directed.
Are there more women being called bitches and whores in it?
I don't know. It's a haunted mental institution movie.
Oh, okay.
It's got Amber Heard in it.
That was his last one.
It's got Amber.
Like, I'm just gonna write music now.
Yeah. Amber Heard is the star of it, so nothing problematic there.
Oh boy.
Boy.
Wow.
Boy. But I do want to share one of the since we're talking about Woods a lot. Where is this? There's a totally insane thing here. Okay. This movie got pretty meh reactions from critics, except for one. One guy loved this movie.
I know who it is. Go ahead.
Do you know who it is?
Yeah.
That is Gene
Siskel.
Gene Siskel
said that James Woods should have gotten an Oscar for this.
Yeah. He enjoyed the film so much, and this is such a radical departure from his usual fare that Woods should have been nominated for his performance in this film.
Wow.
I like this movie, and I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. What are you kidding me?
That's also late days Gene Siskel, isn't it?
I think he actually did die like that same year, so you're saying that might have been the brain cancer?
Man, that's hard. But I'm just saying, you cannot watch this and feel that way.
Yeah.
You just can't.
No, I don't. Like I said,
he does a solid job with a real cartoonish part.
Yeah.
That he's not really right for, but he's not phoning it in. But there's nothing special here.
And I also love the idea of give this guy an Oscar because he doesn't normally do this kind of movie. Is that really a reason to give someone an Oscar?
Wow.
I am just skimming Ebert's review of the movie because he did not seem to enjoy it as much.
Yeah, maybe because it's not that enjoyable.
Okay, 2 things I like. He does say Woods is fun to watch with the dark glasses, the little cigar, and the sneer. And he does describe Daniel Baldwin as, quote, the jowliest of the Baldwin boys.
The jowliest.
That's pretty good. That's
it
pretty
is.
Good and pretty accurate.
I love both those guys, Siskel and Ebert. They always, there were plenty of hot takes across their career where you're like, really? But they were solid, so I'm glad.
Here's one you'll like, too. One detail puzzled me. One of the characters is bitten by a vampire, and this is the scene we're talking about. This is where Daniel Baldwin gets bit. One detail puzzled me. One of the characters is bitten by a vampire, takes out his butane lighter, and cauterizes the wound.
Yeah, he does a full-on
his flesh above the flame.
Peter Cushing.
Yet later, the film suggests he may be infected after all. My thought, either cauterizing a fresh wound works, or it doesn't. If it doesn't, it's not the sort of thing you do for fun.
Yeah.
There you go. I agree with that. It is sort of like, what is the point of that because when James Woods goes, he goes, yeah, I got infected 2 days ago.
Yeah.
At the end of the movie.
And you're like, so what was the point of that then?
Yeah. Because, I mean, and it isn't, he just pulls out a lighter. It isn't nearly as badass as when Cushing does it. I mean, we got to say, man, still got to be, I'll just go ahead and say Cinema's still my favorite cinematic vampire hunter, Peter Cushing, man.
Oh my God. Yeah. Because one thing, I believe that guy, whether he's playing Van Helsing or a non-name or, not that same name, I believe that he believes all of it.
Yep.
Knows all of it. He knows the lore, and he will save every one of us.
Mm-hmm.
Like Flash Gordon. A lot of vampire hunters in these movies, I'm like going, yeah, you probably did a little studying in the Van Helsing school.
Yeah.
But I'm not buying it. I'm not buying you saving us. Peter Cushing, I buy every time.
Peter Cushing, Wesley Snipes. Those are those are my guys. All right. So we get this is where I think the movie, you talk about it being a little sluggish and also a little bit like this whole chasing Valak around to get to the Black Cross is also just a little like, well, where are we going and how are we?
Well, there's a lot from literally the hotel scene on where you're like, okay, the meeting with the Vatican guy is important. We get some info there, and now we have a new priest.
Yeah.
But then it is just sort of like, where is he? Oh, now he's there. And okay. And does he have this piece? He has that. Oh, and he killed this person.
And he goes to this monastery and he kills all these monks, right?
He kills a nun too.
Yeah, that was bad. Bad on him. Bad boy. Valak's being a real bad boy. Bad Valak.
Bad, very tall Valak.
Very tall. Oh man, actually, you know what? I would have rather seen Thomas Ian Griffith play Crow. At least that's something.
It would have been interesting.
I mean, because once again, you go over to the action shelf, you can hear us talk about some movies he did, or he was the star. So he's running around killing all these people, and it's basically just like he shows up, kills a bunch of people, or vampire hunters show up and go, oh shit, he killed all these people. Like that's kind of what, and I like all the killing. I like it's good. It's good gore effects, like we're talking about. It's also clearly, once again, where Carpenter's going, yeah, I'm gonna linger on this priest getting his head ripped off or whatever.
Yeah,
that's good stuff. And then for some reason, apparently during this montage, Daniel Baldwin has fallen in love with Cheryl Lee. I have no idea why.
Somehow. And he's like, hey, it's going to be okay. Hey, and she goes, am I destined to become a vampire? He's like, maybe not. Maybe if we kill the guy, he'll be all right.
What if he had this attitude from the start, or from like when they were first there, or at least a hint of it, right? At least some. No, she was complete crap to him. Now he's like, oh, well, wait a minute now. Hold on.
Maybe because she bit him. Maybe he's her thrall and he doesn't even know it.
Well, if that had been more expressly stated, I kind of would have got on board with that even.
Yeah, but basically, they don't. Well, they kind of split up again because Crow and the priest know what town they need to go to.
Yeah, this is San Miguel, I think it is.
Yeah, because she had a vision and she goes, he's in San Miguel.
She has, it's a very specific thing where she has a vision of something. Oh no, she has a vision of something, and then this is so dumb. He goes, I'll call all the, she knows it's San Miguel, and he goes, well, I'll call all the churches there and see if anyone's been killed. And then it's this one.
Yep.
That's what it is. I just thought the idea of I'm going to go make a bunch of phone calls to get a clue is not good writing.
And, okay, because now I'm getting stuff mixed up. Does Daniel Baldwin tell him he got bit and then take her on the run before he comes back to rescue him? Is that what's happening?
No, that's after, because she's going to bite him again.
Well, no, I know that.
Yeah.
That's when he's leaving, isn't it? Because they're in the thing together, and she just leans over and just yanks a chunk out of his neck.
Mm-hmm. No, because they don't know yet, because we get this whole scene where they have to invade this place and use the priest as bait in this elevator gambit.
Yeah.
Which is a whole sequence. I don't actually really even know what they're doing.
Yeah. That's right, yeah.
Because we get this whole sequence where it's just like it's almost like the movie just goes. And actually, this is once again sort of the level I'm enjoying the movie on. Is the movie just going? It feels like it's about time for another vampire fight scene.
Yep, pretty much.
And that's the stuff I enjoy most in the movie.
The entire town, which is basically, they actually say, how many people do you think live here? And it's like 20 maybe. So it's this itty bitty town with a church in it. That's where the Black Cross has been. And apparently when Valak showed up to get the Black Cross, basically everybody got turned. So the entire town is populated with former inhabitants who are now...
And they're all masters, is what they say. Wait a minute. How many of them are masters? Is like, all of them.
Well, no, the masters are the 8 or the 7 people that rose with them out of the dirt. When they went to the town...
So those people, I have no idea where they came from.
Yeah, those were people who lived in the town and got turned, but they're not masters. So there are masters and goons.
Masters and goons, yep.
Which is going to be our next podcast, isn't
Masters and goons. Masters and goons meet the monsters.
Of course, my brain was going to Master of Puppets. So I was doing a whole different thing.
Well, that's when we do our Puppet Master series, though.
Ooh. Let's not.
God forbid. That's gonna be 20 years.
I've already got way too much full moon features and Charles Band in my system. I don't need any
I will
more.
say, until they release Subspecies 5, I don't think we get another full moon movie on this show.
Yeah.
That's not saving us, though, because what's going to happen is in the 2000s, a ton of other straight-to-video companies will pop up.
Yay!
Oh, I mean, this is the thing. Whatever problems we have here, it's almost like, hey, enjoy this while you can, guys, because it's going to be garbage.
Yes.
This is at least a real film made by a good filmmaker with a studio budget, right? So that's something.
Indeed.
Yeah. So they go to this town. Yeah, we got to kill all these people in this thing. Another one. Oh, this is where we get the cable snaps, which had to happen, right? While it's dragging this out. And this is where James Woods is, riding on top of a vampire as it's being pulled in the sun and shooting it in the face going, "You motherfucker! Fuck you, pal!"
There's no reason he's doing it other than he's angry at it for being a vampire. So,
but I love it so much.
But no,
it's
kind of funny and badass, and he's literally riding the chained up vampire, the wired up vampire.
What you don't see
like a sled. And the second they get outside, it bursts into flames as it would, and he rolls away from it.
The other thing you just don't see in movies is somebody point blank repeatedly shooting someone in the face. Just also, I do want to briefly to borrow from the action shelf and bring John's gun corner into this. He carries a Jericho handgun in this movie, which I've always thought was a cool ass looking gun. It's basically the miniaturized version of the Desert Eagle. In fact, it's colloquially known as the baby Desert Eagle. So it's a really cool looking gun with like a triangular kind of shaped barrel that I've always liked.
It's a badass looking gun.
It is, yeah. So anyway, there's your gun corner. And so everybody else is using like Beretta.
You need a theme song, John. John's gun corner.
No, the gun corner is just John's gun corner. Yeah. Once again, I like when the guns go pew pew and blam blam.
Nice.
So he's shooting in the face, but Valak is there. He was just fucking waiting for this. Took so long to clear out that the sun has gone down and Valak is here, and he captures James Woods.
Yeah.
So James Woods is they crucify James Woods. Folks, there's a movie where James Woods is crucified. Come on. You've got to enjoy this to some extent.
And at this point, and he probably did finally all of my murder fantasies have come true. But
he's still in his cool leather jacket and,
Yeah, the Cardinal's in on it.
Oh, no, Maximilian Schell was crooked.
And he said, look, it's just you get older and you realize, I don't want to die.
Well, I do kind of, once again, it's like I wish they had given Maximilian Schell more to do, because I sort of like the idea of going, The older I got, the more I realized all the stuff we preach. There's no afterlife. Death is just pain and darkness. But this boy here, I also love, like, stupid idiot, when he's just going, Valak over here, he promised me he'll turn me into a vampire. He said he pinky swears.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Maximilian Schell goes over to James Woods, slices his thigh open, and collects Jack Crow's blood in a bowl, because this is all part of the big ceremony.
This is the blood.
You got to have the Crusader blood.
The blood of the Crusader. And it has to be done exactly at sunrise.
Yeah.
It has to be done at the exact break of sun.
How it always happens. And then you have the young priest. He's up on a rooftop, and he's like, Valak, I'm going to stop your damn ceremony. You won't be able to. And he does that by literally shooting the cardinal. He kills his boss, Maximilian Schell. Just kills him.
Another listeners of, I'm sure I've mentioned on this show, but certainly listeners of the Action Shelf know, I love a good squib, and Maximilian Schell just gets his fucking chest blown out, and it's pretty solid. It looks good very squib good. Work, man. He goes down, and he basically is just going, what are you going to do now, Valak? You've got no priest to perform the ceremony.
One thing you need to do, John, and just you can edit this out.
Yeah.
You need to do a quick edit of just that shot of Maximilian Schell getting it, and send it to Matt Gorley.
Yes, it's a solid squibbing, man.
It's a solid squibbing.
It's good.
But yeah, so this is the priest, like, being a badass. He took out. He goes, "What are you gonna do now, Valak? You don't have a priest to finish your ceremony." He goes, "Hey, you're a priest."
Fucking strung up. James Woods goes, "Yeah, man, fuck him up, Padre."
Yeah. Fuck him up, Padre.
James Woods can't stop talking in this movie.
No,
not for a single second.
Even when he's crucified.
It is almost like, hey, don't forget, movie's about me, pal. So yeah, and then he goes, you finish the ceremony. And then the priest puts the gun to his own head, like, no, man, I'm not going to let you do that.
I'll take myself out.
And then here comes Daniel Baldwin.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, we talk about he got bit even more by Charlie when they were driving out of this, because they drove away when Valak showed up.
Yeah, that's what I couldn't remember, is like, when did they leave, because I know that's when he got bit the second time, and I know that he comes back to save the day. And basically he drives in, and they do a thing with, they lasso or spear gun the cross, so they're able to pull it out of the ground. That looks really painful, I gotta say. I was sitting there going like, ow, I know that's a dummy, but the whole, like, guy attached to a cross then being yanked at 40 miles an hour and hitting the ground, I'm like, ow. I'm not sure you did Jack Crow much good there.
Whatever, man. He gets up and he's ready to fight some more, man.
Yeah, it is absolutely true. Now they've got to take care of Valak and some vampires.
Because this was done right at sunrise, I do love... Everybody who was out, all the vampires are out here to watch the ceremony are like, oh shit, the sun! You get all of them running back inside as they start burning up and exploding. But at this and Valak tries to grab the Black Cross, but it burns him now.
Yeah.
I don't know what that's about. It didn't burn him earlier, but now it does burn him. Whatever.
Maybe because he missed the deadline?
Yeah, I guess. Whatever. It's cool. But so Valak is just like, fuck you, Jack Crow! And they start throwing down, and we're meant to believe that in any scenario, James Woods is going to win a fight against... Forget vampirism, just win a fight against Thomas Ian Griffith. But yeah, they're throwing down... let's see, what do we have back here? Oh, and Woods impales him with the Black Cross, which is pretty gnarly.
Yeah. Because the Black Cross, I don't know. I mean, of course, it's from olden times.
Yeah.
But for some reason, they have built it that its base ends up very pointy, almost like a spear.
Super pointy. Man, though, missed opportunity to do, like, you want this cross? Take it! How do you miss that opportunity, man? Or something along that line, right? Like,
I don't know, John. I just don't know.
Just a huge missed opportunity, whatever.
There are so many in this movie that I stopped counting.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I do like the movie, but I'm not here to say the whole thing works. I just think it's generally pretty fun. And then so he's impaled, but he's not dead. It's only when James Woods caves the roof down on whatever this shack they're fighting is.
Yeah, because he's like, guess what time it is? It's morning time. The sun is up.
And he goes up, man. Oh, it's glorious. He just explodes, and it's awesome.
It is.
It's not like the Hammer movies where they always have Dracula go out like a jump.
And of course, doing their best with whatever kind of crossfading and all that sort of thing.
No, this guy fucking explodes.
He explodes.
As we talk about, this movie did not have a ton of money, but it's clear where the money went.
Yeah.
So he explodes. It's pretty awesome. And then James Woods is like, so you bit, but you're in love with that vampire lady. And he stops the priest from killing them. And he's like,
yeah, the priest is actually the harder core at this point, because he's like going, Jesus. And he goes, rule. They keep mentioning the rules of their job. And
vampire
so
hunting
he's like,
rule number 10
is like, yeah, if your partner gets bit, you got to kill them because they're now vamps. But the whole thing of him just literally coming over and going, hey man, you're bit, and I guess you love her now. He's like, I really do, man. I know it's crazy. The priest is the guy who comes in going, you gotta die. You gotta die. And James was like, all right, calm down.
And he's like, what do you think? What's the plan? You gonna put her in the back of the truck and try to make the border? And he's like, yeah, I guess that's as good a plan as any.
Yeah, and he goes, well, you saved my life twice. And he goes, I guess that gives you 2 days leeway. And he goes, I'll give you 2 days, and then we're coming for you.
He goes, then I'm gonna hunt you down, and I'm gonna kill you and the girl. That's
and he's
gonna
like,
happen.
well,
yeah,
if that's the way it's gotta be.
That's what it's gonna be. Yeah, Carpenter's sequel apparently was going to be in Mexico with the priest as the main character, and Cheryl Lee would have been the queen of the Mexican vampires now.
Well, I would like...
That would have been a better part for her, at least.
Yeah, I would just like her to have a better part. Yeah. I like her a lot as an actor, and she's beautiful. But also, I sit there going, you don't just allow a female character, who is our female lead in this movie, to have no agency, to be used as bait, to be called a bitch and a whore for the entire movie.
It really is a reminder of how recent any kind of people striving to improve female characters in the movie is. That this is 98 and we're still doing this.
You could have had the same dialogue coming from the men. The problem is you need the character herself to stand up and go, fuck you. You could have men being assholes and saying all this stuff to her, and maybe she just, it's like, I got no time for you if that's what you think about me. Right. But this character is so caught up in, shit, man, I'm turning into a vampire and I don't want to. She never addresses any of the abuse that is happening to her. It's a waste of her. Yeah,
it really is. And like, if anything, the only good that similar to Maximilian Schell, who's also wasted, is like they bring needless gravitas or reality to their parts that doesn't really, deserve them. So he's out of there, and then he goes, well, give him 2 days. We got to clean up this fucking town anyway, Padre.
And then put a new team together.
And hey, Padre, you tell me something. When you were killing those vampires, you get a little wood.
And then for some reason, the priest has decided he's now one of the boys. So plays line goes, oh yeah, mahogany. He goes, mahogany. He goes, teak. What? Are you kidding?
You're all right, Padre.
Oh, you're willing to talk penis wood with me. Great. And that's the end of the movie.
And that's John Carpenter's vampires. Not to be confused with anyone else's vampires.
No.
John Carpenter's vampires.
Yeah. Once I was really drunk in the video store and I was like, oh, I haven't seen this one in a long time. Grabbed it off the shelf, took it home, and it was Bob Ross's vampires.
Oh man,
it was, and those names aren't even similar. I must have been really.
And the thing is, that has the happiest trees in it, though.
The whole thing, the vampires made me feel really warm and cuddly. It was a different vibe, but it was not what I was looking for. It was a
different direction to go in, yeah. I mean,
no one called the lead actress a bitch or whore.
I know, and it's just, is that even a vampire movie then? That's the real question for you. Well,
you go back to Hammer. You go back to Universal. It was always that.
There are 2 more films set in the John Carpenter's Vampires universe.
Wow.
So we'll get to those eventually.
Again, great gimmick. Great idea. This is one, like we talk about sometimes, they're the unnecessary reboot or remake.
Oh,
this one could be remade.
Strongly
this one
agree.
Could be remade.
Netflix, come on.
Call us.
Oh.
John, you do post the number after every one of our podcasts, don't you?
Yeah. So yes, I do. Absolutely. Boy, and you know the kind of stuff I write, Brendan. I am the guy to make that show.
You're the guy to make the show, but I still get a cut of it.
That's right. You get one of those executive producer, but you do nothing credits.
Oh God, that is the dream.
God,
credit.
Isn't that the thing? You get an executive, and then you never have to do anything. So that's John Carpenter's Vampire. Should people watch this? I'm not gonna say it's necessary viewing, even as much as I enjoy it.
This is what We Hate Movies guys calls this is a hangover movie.
Oh, by the way, listen to their episode about this because I think.
Oh, did they do this one?
They did do this one, and I would say they have, I think, similar feelings to me, where they're like, "This is bad, but I kind of like it." Like it seemed to be their attitude as well, and they do talk a lot about some of the same stuff we do. But yes, I did listen to that, however many Halloweens ago when they did that, and I just remember them going like, "I don't know, it's super mean but kind of fun." So yeah, I agree. This is one to put on because there is good stuff in here, but I don't know they need to pay super close attention to it.
No. Yeah, that is that. And I there's a lot that I do like about it, and the effects, even though it is a group that I have not enjoyed, some that we've seen here. The effects are amazing.
The K&B boys. Well, I hope you like Southern Vampires, man, because we get the next 2 weeks of them. That's right.
Are you really?
We sure do, because we are going from the John Carpenter's Vampire universe back to the From Dusk Till Dawn universe.
Oh,
that's right. The next 2 weeks we get From Dusk Till Dawn sequels. So
did they shoot them back to back and then release them within like a year?
Maybe that's the case because it's because we go into
the fact that these are our next 2.
Yeah.
Like, did they release the same week?
They came out the same year. They both are 99. We're finally in 99. We're in the final stretch of the show here, or of the season.
Does that mean that from now we're going to party like it's 1999?
We have to. It's an order.
Great.
So next week on the show is From Dusk Till Dawn 2, Texas Blood Money.
Well, I will say I have seen neither of these sequels.
I don't think I've ever seen them either. And no Clooney, but instead we get Robert Patrick in the lead.
Okay.
Robert Patrick and Bo Hopkins, folks.
Bo Hopkins. Stamp of quality.
Did we talk about Bo Hopkins already on here?
I'm not sure. He may have been in one of the movies.
I feel like he did a Frankenstein movie. Am I wrong?
Oh, he did.
Didn't he play the monster in one of the ones we watched?
He did. It was one of the TV movies in the 70s. Was it The True Story? Frankenstein, The True Story?
I'm rolling
or
back.
Dan Curtis's
It's one of those two. As for which one it was, I don't recall, and I was hoping to spot it quickly here. And
Robert Powell was Frankenstein, the doctor.
Okay, yes. Bo Hopkins. I think it is Dan Curtis, yeah. Well, now he's back, folks. And I don't know. These can't be good, is all I know. There's just no way. There's just no way. I'm sorry.
Oh, not Bo Hopkins. It was Bo Svensson.
That
was a mistake. No, Bo Hopkins never played Frankenstein's monster.
That's right. Bo Svensson.
We got our bows mixed up.
I confused my bows. But I will say, somebody who was not in this that is in From Dusk Till Dawn 2, Bruce Campbell, folks.
Oh, great.
Mm-hmm. I think it's a cameo. This is also a Scott Spiegel film.
Oh.
Yeah, Scott Spiegel. Much like Tommy Lee Wallace directs the next Vampires movie, Scott Spiegel is Sam Raimi's Tommy Lee Wallace.
Okay.
The less talented friend
Yeah,
who
can I
gets
take
to
that one over? Sure, I'm not going to do anything with it.
That's fucking cool. Whatever, man.
Just keep using my twangy guitar. No, well, that actually they both had twangy guitar.
Yeah, it's so yeah, From Dusk Till Dawn 2, Texas Blood Money. Before we get to From Dusk Till Dawn 3, The Hangman's Daughter, and there are none of the same people work on either movie. So
Great.
yeah, so they weren't. It's not a because the third one. I'll just say this now. It's a prequel.
Oh, we'll go back to the beginnings.
Yeah, I think
Aztec vampire lady.
I think that one actually is a Western, a true Western vampire movie.
Ooh,
so,
because I see this one as kind of a Western.
Yeah, that is John Carpenter's apparently pitch for every movie. So, all right. So 2 weeks of Mexican vampires on the show, but that is going to do it for this week's episode of Campbell and Joe's Meet the Monsters. I'm John Campbell.
I'm Brendan Jones.
And remember, there are such things as monsters.
Hey, John, did saying that give you any kind of wood? Did you get any kind of wood?
Mahogany, man. Mahogany.
Oh, you're kidding. Oh.